last video, we saw the opening salvos of God's wrath, which we saw was a righteous response of God to the earth and to the inhabitants of the earth because of, one, it is the answer to the prayers of the saints or the souls that were underneath the altar of God in chapter 6. We also see that the seven angels represent with their characteristics a description of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And it can be also the wrath of the Lamb, which is referenced as that earlier in the book. So what we see again in the opening salvos is a righteous and just response of God unto the inhabitants of earth who did not receive the sealing of God. Hello, everybody. I'm Keith O'Dare, and welcome to When You Search for Truth, where we look for the truth by looking at what is actually written in the Word of God, word for word, in the order given from the original text, using the original definitions. I hope you're liking it. Let's get on to the fourth trumpet. All right, chapter 8, verse 12, in the word for word, it says, "And the fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, that the third of them were darkened. And that which shines light brought forth their light not for a third of it. And the night was in the same way." So what we have, again, what we talked about before, we saw that there was raining down of fire, which could be representative of a flyby of an asteroid or comet. Again, we're looking at this symbolically. So God could cause a asteroid or a comet to fly by. And if you remember right, in a lot of the disaster movies, when you have those flybys, it ignites the Earth's atmosphere, not entirely, but it starts to turn red. It causes a lot of turmoil going on because a lot of that friction now meets with oxygen of the air, and it starts to ignite. And you could be seen as rain falling down onto the earth. We also know that those bits can fall down onto the earth, destroying, as it says, a third of the trees and the grass. And finally, we could have the main body of an asteroid or comet raining down on Earth, and it's called wormwood. And wormwood, I cannot help but see a correlation between the word wormwood and what this generation knows what wormwood is. Wormwood in Ukrainian means Chernobyl, which means radiation fallout. So we could see clearly what this looks like is a flyby, the atmosphere catching on fire, earth catching on fire, killing a third of the earth, or a third of the vegetation. And we see the main body hit, which creates amazing amount of dust to blow up into the air, which we find right here in verse 12, a darkening of the light that comes upon the earth. So you see the sun, the moon, and the stars being covered by dust that has come up from this asteroid. Again, very possible. It's amazing when you put them all together. It fits it perfectly. But is it what it is? We will find out when when it happens. I think, well, we know this is the wrath of God. You and I, those who are of the remnant of God, will not see this from the earth's viewpoint. We'll be as a lot of, well, as a preacher that I knew, Chuck Missler, he would say, we'll watch it from the mezzanine. So, verse 13, "And seeing with my eyes and hearing an angel flying across in the midst of the heavens, saying with a loud voice, great pain and misery." Great pain and misery is the word for word description of a woe. If you look up the word woe in the Greek, it means great pain and misery. So 3 times we have here, great pain and misery, great pain and misery, great pain and misery to the inhabitants of the earth by the way of the voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. So we have this possible asteroid hitting the earth, first in a flyby, causing its havoc, and then we see the main body hitting the earth and creating a bunch of dust getting up the air. And we see, from this point on, we see great pain and misery from the angels, the three angels that are about to sound their trumpets. All right, I'm hoping you're liking this. We'll get into the fifth angel and what we see in that next time when you search for truth. So I'm hoping you're enjoying it. I don't say it very often, but if you liking it, please help me spread this word by subscribing to it and putting a like on the video if this is from YouTube or Rumble. And I hope to see you next time when we search for truth. Shalom.